right, so this is our Money Skills for Life class, and we are actually on class 11 of a 12-part webinar series. So we only have one more left. And so far, we've been discussing various financial literacy topics. Now, these topics are skills that you can use not only now in real life situations, but throughout the rest of your life. Now, my name is Michelle, and I am the instructor for the class. My background is in finance, and I've been in the field for many, many years now. And that's because I enjoy sharing my knowledge and helping others to establish financial stability and freedom throughout their lives. And it's not only important for adults to learn this stuff, but young adults as well. And because we have seen that 4 in 5 young adults fail a basic financial literacy exam. So we really need to beef up what we are teaching you guys. Now, last time we discussed some consumer awareness issues, kind of more centered around comparative shopping to include the differences between buying name brands versus generics. We also looked at checking to see if something's really a good deal. Excuse me. If something's a good deal, because it has a sales sign on it doesn't mean that it may be the best deal. So it's important to shop around and compare prices. We also discussed reviewing product reviews. So not only are we reading these reviews, but we're reviewing what other people have reviewed, because there are some paid reviews out there. So some companies will pay people to, give very good reviews of their products, and they may have never have even touched that product at all. So it's important to really kind of get an idea if someone's used the product and if you're getting accurate information. And we also briefly touched on recalls and what recalls are. If a product is unsafe, or if there's a safety feature on it, or there's a manufacturer default or defect. Oftentimes companies will recall these products, and you can either get a replacement item or reimbursed for that particular product. And since there's a lot of consumer awareness issues, we're going to continue our discussion on this topic. But today we're going to focus more on your rights as a consumer and what you can do in the case of fraud. Like, what are you actually responsible for? So let's go ahead and dive into your rights. Now, in 1986, there was a Consumer Protection Act that was implemented to provide kind of a fast and easy way for consumers to be compensated for problems and grievances. And it was established to safeguard buyers of not only goods, but services as well against unfair practices in the marketplace. It provided certain rights and responsibilities, and it kind of laid these out in a structured format so we could see who is responsible for what. Because not only is a business responsible for certain things, you as a consumer are as well. Now, we have the right as a buyer to not be exploited. That means it prevents businesses from engaging in fraud or maybe misleading consumers with a product or advertising. But we as a buyer have a responsibility as well to kind of watch out for ourselves. And if you've ever heard the phrase buyer beware, it's kind of saying be aware of, some of the things that are out there. There are plenty of fakes and scammers out there. We always say if it sounds too good to be true, it likely is. So you hold a certain amount of responsibility to see if what actually is happening or what's being claimed to happen or to being claimed that you're going to receive is actually, realistic. That's like if you see like a phone on the marketplace and you buy an unlocked phone through one of these things, and and it's like super cheap. If they normally go for $200 and you're getting it for $20, maybe there's something wrong with it. And so we really have a responsibility to kind of to check these things out and make sure that we're holding ourselves to a realistic standpoint as well. And just as we want the businesses to be honest, so should we. So we have a responsibility to be ethical as well. And that just means don't be deceptive. A very common thing that happens is someone we say, don't, if you wear something and they don't take the tags off. And this may be for like a special event, because sometimes these ball gowns or dresses or tuxedos or suits are really expensive. And so oftentimes people will buy this item, leave the tag on it, wear it for the event, and then return it and get all their money back. And this is what we consider a non-ethical practice. It's kind of being deceptive. You purchased this item for a specific event. You used it for that event. Now, is it really fair to be refunded the full amount of money on that? And the answer is probably no. Now, there are some laws in place that will assist us in kind of regulating these consumer affairs. And there's a state level and federal level on some of these things. In the US, a variety of laws that are at the federal level include the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, Fair Credit Reporting Act, Truth in Lending Act, Fair Credit Billing Act, and the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act. Now, federal consumer protection laws are mainly enforced by the FTC, which is the Federal Trade Commission. There's also the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and the FDA, which is the Food and Drug Administration. And it's also overseen by the U.S. Department of Justice. Now, these are all federal level protections. As I mentioned, there are some state level protections as well. And these are going to be non-government agencies. And you may know or have heard of these, like the BBB, the Better Business Bureau. And this is a self-regulating business organization. And what it does is if a person has a complaint against a business, obviously they've contacted the business and tried to work some type of an arrangement with them. They've let them know that either they bought a product and they've been happy, or they didn't receive a service that was expected, or the service was maybe not up to par. And they've tried to work with the business, but the business is saying no, it's a no-go, or they can't get any help from the business. Oftentimes they just can't get a response from the business. They can file a report through the Better Business Bureau, and then the Better Business Bureau will reach out to the business. And what happens here is that if they get a complaint, it's kind of like you get a grade in school. And so you'll get a grade based on how your business is doing, how it works with customers, if it corrects any unhappiness, disgruntled consumers, or kind of backs up their warranties. And so if they do, they're going to get a good score. If there's many complaints and they're not fixing these complaints, then they will have a kind of a bad score. And so before you do business with anyone, in fact, you may check the Better Business Bureau site and see if there's, if this company that you plan on working for kind of upholds its warranties and has some good, a good reputation. There's also watchdog groups and consumer protection agencies. One that's kind of popular is there's the consumer, well, it's a consumer awareness, but it's, oh goodness, it's a magazine, consumer reviews on everything. And you can actually read product reviews, and they'll do an unbiased review. So they may, purchase 10 different types of vacuum cleaners, and they can actually show you which one may be doing better than the other ones. And so they kind of dig in and do that as well. Now, I mentioned that there are state level regulations as well. And so many states have adopted what we call the Uniform Deceptive Trade Practices Act. And the Deceptive Trade Practices Act prohibits it's divided into two different subdivisions. One is involving the unfair and fraudulent business practice, and the other portion or the other prong of that is deals with more of the advertising. So any untrue or misleading claims. So this one sells kind of one looks at if the company is selling bad products, and the other prong of it looks at, are they making false claims of these products? So again, part of your responsibility, I said you had rights and responsibilities, right? And so part of your responsibility is to consider products, services, and advertises rationally. Now, this means that if a business sells a product and they're making wild claims about it, that you kind of take a step back and go, that's not possible. Or this is, again, too good to be true. Let's see what's up with this, and do a little bit of digging on your own to see if this is really legitimate. Because let's say a business is selling a pair of shoes, and the average runner can run about anywhere from male and female, 6.5 to 8 miles per hour. And if this shoe company is claiming that if you buy our shoes, you're going to be able to run 25 miles per hour, that's a little bit far-fetched. And so it's up to us to see that this advertising is very exaggerated. It's probably and very likely not true. So it's my responsibility to rationalize that claim and deem it to be untrue. And if I buy the shoes and I can't run 25 miles per hour, then I hold the responsibility for that. I can't say, well, you told me I was going to do that. It could just be, exaggerated advertising. So it's important that we actually look at those things and make sure what we are understanding from that business is actually what they're presenting. Now, again, part of your responsibilities are to know the return and refund policies for any business that you're doing business with. Do they have one? Is it all sales final? No exchanges, no refunds? Is it only going to provide you store credit? How long do you have to return the product? And what if the product breaks after that return window has passed? Is there any type of guarantee on the product? Is there a 30-day money back guarantee? A lot of products will offer a certain no questions asked money back guarantee, and you can try the product, and if it's not what you think or not what you want, you have the ability to return that. Oftentimes the responsibility shifts to the manufacturer, and this happens if maybe let's say that the product is good when you buy it and it passes this, let's say it has a 90-day return policy from the store, and a year down the line, or let's say 9 months down the line, this product breaks. Well, it's past your return window, but if they have a warranty on that product for, let's say up to a year, then the manufacturer can step in, and you wouldn't be dealing with the store necessarily anymore, but you would be dealing directly with that manufacturer, and they may make the product or make good on that product as well. Now, sometimes we do run into credit card issues or debit card issues. And this can be along the same lines as if you use PayPal or Venmo or any type of service that takes money from a bank account or from your credit card. Like maybe you got charged too much. Maybe instead of, maybe you got charged double. Say you bought something that cost $20 and you had two $20 transactions on your account. What do you do for that? Obviously, you would want to contact the business first to see if it can be rectified. That's going to be your easiest way to try to get those funds back. But if the store is not willing to work with you, or maybe they're not returning your calls or emails, you may have to work with your financial institution as well. And they are able to help with these unauthorized charges by disputing them. Now, credit card companies can dispute a charge, And if you can't get the business to work with you, and these disputes are what we call like chargebacks. They're charging what was charged to you, they're charging it back to that business. And that means that the account that that business uses, the money's going to be, even though it was deposited in there for them, it came from your credit card and went to their bank account. Now it's going to come from their bank account and go back to your credit card. And so if you can't get the business to work with you, this is obviously an option that you still have. So you're not going to necessarily be out there in the cold all by yourself. It's also important to wait to pay for something until you receive it. A lot of online purchases make it a little bit difficult because obviously you're going online, you're purchasing the item, and then they are shipping it to you. So this is kind of an exception, but it's important that you're using or dealing with a reputable site. There are plenty of scam sites out there. I purchased a little Zen garden that I was going to put on as decoration at the office or at my office. In my office at my work office, and instead of getting that, I got like this really cheap wristwatch, and I was like, I never ordered that. And so I was able to go through and do a chargeback on that purchase. And I will admit the site was a little shady, so I probably shouldn't have been doing business with them at all. But it's important that you are, if you're doing online shopping, that you're using, dealing with a reputable site. But if it's something here locally, like if you're purchasing a service, like someone to mow your yard or re-roof the house or paint the house, or even I've seen recent posts from Facebook Marketplace where they have this huge place that people can post things for sale. And one particular issue was they had bought, and it was at Christmas. This is a big time when people are shopping. So scammers are definitely out during this time of year. But someone had purchased a game console, and it was kind of hard to find. And don't get me lying about which one it was, but let's just say, for example, it was an Xbox. And so she paid for this Xbox. She wanted to make sure that she bought it then, so no one, this person couldn't take a higher price for it, because it was one that people were willing to pay more than what she was asking for it. And so this person bought it. She's like, I'm buying it. Here's the money. And they were meeting in person later that day so she could pick up that console. And the person never showed up to hand it over. Now, this may be kind of hard to get compensated or return compensation for, because there's not really a receipt. It's done usually through like Venmo or PayPal or something like that. And so you're going to have to, provide some information on that. And for the other person, that, they could easily say, I gave it to them. I showed up, I gave it to them, and they're just trying to scam me. So it's kind of hard when you're dealing with people like that, which is always why it may be better if you're meeting someone to purchase something, to pay cash for it once you get that item in your hand. Again, only do business with reputable businesses or people, because if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is, and it's going to cause you a headache if that deal does not work out for you. Now, do we have any questions? I know this was kind of our part 2 of this consumer awareness series. So I don't want to keep you too long. We're coming up on a 3-day weekend, so I'm sure you have some fireworks to go purchase. But I do want to just stress the importance of online shopping and consumer awareness. You do have rights that will, help against any type of fraudulent or misleading business practices, but you also have some responsibilities that you take on as well. And that is to kind of be rational about it. Next time, July 16th, will be our last class, our last meeting time, and we're going to be talking about some consumer privacy issues. We just kind of went over some of the online shopping things that you have to look out for, But once you buy something online, you're putting your information out there. You're putting your name, your address, your credit card or Venmo or PayPal account. And so you have that information out there. And businesses have a responsibility to make sure that that information is secure, because if someone gets that information, they are able to potentially commit financial fraud against you. They could take out credit cards under your name. They could maybe hack your bank account, or they can commit identity theft, which is basically assuming your identity. And these are both very hard to fish out, and to sort out, because proving that you are you and this other person is not you can be kind of difficult. And so there's a lot of protection issues that we need to look at and be responsible when we do some online shopping and online activity. And so that's what we're going to focus on next time. So until then, take care and continue to practice some good money skills. Bye, guys.